Good afternoon and welcome back to the garden. Now, as you know, we're going to do a little bit of a tour today. Let's say we'll show you what we got. So we're starting down here in the bottom greenhouse, and I'll show you how the tomatoes are doing, cucumbers, peppers, etc. And then we'll work our way up the garden right up to the courtyard in the back of the cottage. We won't be going around the front of the cottage because you can understand some of the things we like to keep private, but it is all decorated up similar to the courtyard when we get up there. As you can see, these are the tomatoes. They're doing very well, no problem. What I did, because it's been poor light etc, and the tomatoes haven't set very low, so I really do like 5 trusses before I stop them. So I've had to put these extra supports on to see if I can get 5. If I put these on, I can get 5 and stop them up here, and then we'll still get a decent crop out of them. Now the peppers have set, as you can see. These are the bullhorn ones. There's quite a few sets, so we know we will get some peppers anyway. The cucumbers, which we don't usually grow down here, but I'm growing them on this end wall. As you can see, there are cucumbers actually setting on them now, so they're not so bad. There's another one, in fact there's 3 there. Now this tomato here and this one here we're going to grow in pots outside the greenhouse, but it's been, as you know, cold, windy and wet, so I've kept them in for a little while, but they will go outside eventually. Now that's the greenhouse done. There's a few begonias on the floor that were a bit later than the others, but they're coming nicely, and then we'll take those up and add them to the plants up at the house. Now we'll just go out and make our way up the garden. Now as you go past, you can see the rhubarb now is recovering. Still a little bit of slug damage on them, and I have put under that tray is a slug trap, a yogurt carton with beer in it. This is the only bit of sweet corn that I got through this year, so I put it just there. I put a net over it to keep pigeons off. Now the plum tree, as you can see, we've still got the plums on it. It has dropped a few, but that's fine for this time of year. Now if you see all those branches at the top, I will bring the long-handled pruner and take all those off, but obviously not while we've got this rainy weather with us. Wait till we're on a dry summer day, and I should take those off early on so they've got time to dry through the day. These 4, if you can remember, are the courgettes. They're doing fine, and behind those is the pea and bean haul, as I call it. It's just a net. They're all doing well. The very heavy hailstorms we've had have taken the toll on a few of the leaves, and there's quite a bad slug problem in there, so I've put slug traps all the way through it now. The cucumbers that I put outside, the poor things have had hail and really cold wind blowing on them, so I haven't given up on them, but I think they might give up on us. This spare bit of land here, I've put it down for lettuce so we don't waste it. As you can see, I've had to ring them with coffee. I've had to put 4 coffee pots with beer in and a few slug pellets on them to try and keep them down. These are the celeriac. You see they've been nibbled a bit, but I have put again some more traps in there. It was the only place I had left to be able to put them. The broad beans have really enjoyed this cold weather we've had. Likewise all the brassicas, I'll show you those in a bit, they've really come on. There is a few broad beans, that's fine. There's a few beans on them, as you can see. That's fine, they'll do nicely. This is where we had that garlic. Poor old garlic had been underwater that many times through this winter, 2 foot deep at one stage. It got covered in rust, and then I kept testing it, and they were rotting at the bottom, so obviously they're now gone. Yeah, we'll buy new garlic this year and start again, but further away from the flood area. These are the wintering onions, as you can see. Likewise, they've been underwater a little bit. They're not too bad. There's 1 or 2 seed heads on them, but I'll keep those for seed anyway. But they really haven't done anything. Again, when we set them this winter, September for next year, we'll get them up there where it's a bit dry. These are the potatoes we've grown this year. I did only first and second earlies. I didn't put any lates in because of the slug problem we're getting. I see there's a couple gone down, perhaps a bit of blackleg. I'll have to go in, if it is that, take them out. Onions for this year, some were grown from seed, some from sets. They're growing, but as you can see, most of them are going to seed now, and they haven't even put any weight on yet, so we're not going to get many, if any, onions this year. If we just get a few, we'll be happy with that, but we can't control the weather. Likewise, those that's running to seed now, I shall let them go and see if we can get some seed off them, but there's not a lot I can actually do for the onions. I've tried everything, and we'll see what we get. Now the tomatoes, these were planted outdoors earlier on, as you know. They've come through the cold wind, the cold spell, the hailstone, and they're doing remarkably well. I'm very pleased with these tomatoes. We had thunderstorms and torrential rain. The poor things really took a battering, but they're growing nicely now. What we need is the summer now to finish them off. I don't know if you can hear them. There's a family of swallows circulating round. They've got 5 young with them, and they keep sitting the young on these rails and bringing them food. So we're in their way a bit, so let's move on. Now these are the Brussels sprouts. They've absolutely loved this cold and wet and horrible weather. They've really come on. I shall have to go in later this week, I think, and remove some of the leaves that are now dragging on the floor, as the slugs will be on them and spoil them, so we'll take those off. Now these are the cabbages. These are the mini cole, which are those solid little cabbage, ideal for coleslaw, make lovely coleslaw. Very, very pleased with them. As you can see, they're loving this cold and wet weather. This is the tail end of the lettuce we grew. These now are beginning to stretch, so we don't waste them. I keep pulling them up and taking them up to the chickens, who absolutely adore them. They seem to eat one of those a day. The beetroot's doing well, standing nicely. Remember, it's all been set in little groups, so as soon as there's enough to lift, we'll lift them as small beet rather than trying to let them get big. The celery is at this end of this little tunnel, doing very well, standing well now, that is. Again, it's another plant that likes the cool and the wet. This end, that's the celeriac, just enough for what we want, and again, standing well. I've actually put 3 yogurt pots in there with the beer to keep the slugs down a little bit. They seem to be working, but I bought a big box of beer, and my son says, "Oh, you bought them for?" I says, "No, they're for the slugs." Cauliflowers on the other side of the mini coal tunnel, they're doing fine. You see the centres are now beginning to twist, so the florets will be growing up there soon. We've got different sizes in here because I delayed one of the sets, so it pulls out in the season a little bit, because they are summer cauliflowers and they're only small, they're not these great big ones, which is really what you want for this time of year. These are the cherries. As you can see, I've put a net over now to stop the birds. If you look there, they're just beginning to ripen now, so about a week they'll all want picking. Now the strawberries, we keep picking them every day if we can. We had family over the weekend, so quite a few of them have been picked. So we've had a good crop of strawberries off the earlies, and we've shared them with the slugs as well, so that's not so bad. In this tunnel we have two varieties of radish, those long white ones and normal round radish, if you like. On the other side you can't see them very well, but the main crop carrots are germinating, and likewise on all these beds I started to put yogurt pots with beer in, ready for the slugs. The first crop of carrots we put in here came up beautiful, got a nice top on them, and then were mowed off by slugs in a weekend, so I'm ready for them this time. The leeks in this tunnel are all standing well now, they're doing all right, no trouble leeks. If they're in these tunnels you don't get problems with the leek moth, etc., or the onion fly that attacks them. So it's best to grow them in there and they're never any trouble. I do think, looking at those onions down there, we might have just got a little bit of fly on them, because I think the flies hung about more this year than normal. Normally they're gone by the time we set them out, but not this year. So it could be for the next season we'll have to put the onions in one of these big tunnels, because we've never ever had problem with onion fly here. It seems to have just come to us. I don't know if the farmers are growing more onions or what, but we'll see. In this little mesh tunnel I've put the Swedes. This is the second set of Swedes, but there's yogurt pots with beer in this time, trying to keep the slugs down. Now the spring onions go from strength to strength. They're doing very well now. We've had no slug damage obviously in those. They're doing very well. In fact, they'll be coming up to harvesting this line in this next week or so. So let's go in the fruit cage and have a look in there. The gooseberries are doing very well. They're a bit knocked down. That was the hailstorm, I think, that knocked those down. That's green and those are red, as you can see. I won't give Diane one today because she gets upset because they're not ripe enough. Now this is the mulberry tree, and I don't know if you can see, we have mulberries this year. It's took about 4 years to get those, but it's well worth it. The beauty of growing them in the cages will not lose them to the birds, which is another good thing with mulberries, because the birds will start taking them now because they show red early. Peas have had a heavy attack with the slugs. Got yogurt pots down, catching the slugs. We're getting too many slugs in here. I shall let these pods harden up and use those for seed this year. This side is not so bad. I have put the yogurt pots out, obviously. This got attacked a little bit, but that one's not so bad. I did put some spare leeks in there actually, and I'm afraid they ate those. Likewise, we had a few Coco de Pampol left over, so I put them in there and they're being feasted on now. I think I'm going to put my head torch on and have a walk down here when it's dark and see what we've got creeping about. Now the raspberries, we have been picking them. Diane's been having them with a breakfast on cereal. Very nice. We will get a lot of raspberries coming soon. As you remember, they're from top to bottom fruited, So what we'll do then is we'll pick them and freeze them down, and then make jam towards the autumn when we get everything else in. Now, as you can see, the red currants are doing well again, always do well. The only trouble with these two bushes, they're getting a bit big now, so this year I might lift them and move them somewhere else in the garden. It's getting a bit too tight in here. These are the white currants, and they look like pearls, don't they? Beautiful. And I do like white currants. I'd rather have white currants than black or red. These are the late raspberries. It's just a case of if they'll go behind this rope, is just to put them. It's not doing anything harsh to them, it's just supporting them. When they get this high and you get a bit of breeze, they'll soon fall down. This bit of rope just checks them, holds them in. The blackberries look like they're going to be a bumper crop this year. I think the colour is the rain washing the nitrogen out of the ground a bit, so, but I can't give this any nitrogen, obviously it'll start growing and overtake us. There's a good crop on there. These here tied up, there's 4 this side and 4 that side. I've actually tied them and stopped them so they break a bit on the lower ones. When these blackberries are finished, we'll actually remove all these canes and then 1, 2, 3, 4, tie those 4 in this side and those 4 that side in the other side, tie them on, then we're ready for next year then. This is the blueberry. As you can see, it's cropping quite well, but we're finding they don't get any size to them. We've made the decision to actually take these out this year, back end obviously, we'll take the crop off them and put replenish the plot, more ericaceous etc in there, and then put 2 more blueberries in there that have the big berries on them. We'll have those in there. We've actually already bought the plants and I've got them growing at the side of the greenhouse at the bottom, outside obviously, and already, although they can only be this big, they've got bigger berries on them than these, so this did its job, but we can do better. Now these are my compost bins. This is what we made towards the back end of last year, and we put into the end bin, and when that was full I turned it into this bin. Which you can see it's not making bad compost now. Now later in the summer I should take this and put it into this bin over the top here, and as I bring it up I'll put a layer of this nice compost, then a layer of straw, then a layer of this, so sandwich all the way up and leave it to rot down, ready for the back end, then it can go straight out on the garden. This is the one we're filling at the moment. As you can see there's all sorts in there, but we just fill it and then keep moving it through the season. So that's how I make my compost. I started in the first one, move it to the second one, and then move it to the end one, mixed up with the straw from the chickens etc, and that's how then when it comes to autumn that can go down. Now this is what we call the chicken garden. Chickens have full range in here. Usually I do something and get it nice and tidy and they come then and wreck it all, but it's their patch, so we leave them to get on with it. The little shed in the centre of the lawn, that's 4 hens that Diane's actually hatched them, and we've grown them on, and we just got to get them now to live with the other chicks, because some of our chickens are getting a little bit old now and they've stopped laying. These are the 4 new hens we've got. It looks like one's molting at the moment, but we'll just slowly integrate them now into the flock and they'll be okay. Lovely old things, aren't you? Here's Mr. Gray and 2 of his ladies. I'm afraid the 3rd one is actually laying an egg at the moment, so she won't come out. Lovely little hens. 2 out of the 3 lay every day, so they're very, very good layers for little birds. And the good side of them, they're never go broody. I've got one of the big hens, the Orpingtons. It lays 2 eggs and goes broody for 30 days. But these don't, they're good little chickens. Here's one of the Orpingtons. He's getting a bit old now, but he's not bad old lad. I have one of the Orpington that stays in the cage now because she's going a bit blind and she can't see her way round. So she stays in there, but she's always there at feed time. You don't miss her food. We just hope that we can get these and the new ones together over the next few days so they can all start roosting together. They do have a little bit of a fight now and again, but I just let them get on with it, and when they're puffing and panting and worn out, they stop and walk away. So, and that seems to do them, that they'll live together, but the odd bit now and again. Mr. Gray's a bit younger chicken than the old guy, so, but they're fine. They're no problem. You don't really need 2 cockles. That little building there is what we call the chicken's penthouse. When it's a hot day, they'll go in there and perch, and it keeps them out of the sun a bit. Now we've come up to the courtyard. This is at the back of the cottage, and we'll just show you what we've decorated up for the summer. This is the courtyard. If you can remember, over the time, most of these plants have been overwintered. Have been grown from overwintered stock, our own seed and our own cuttings. We've done quite well. As I say, the need to get a summer now, then they'll grow a lot more, but at the moment they're a bit sparse in the pots. So that'll be it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed your little tour. Now, apart from having some sunshine to bring these flowers on, I think you'll appreciate they do look very nice. So Diane's worked hard with it. So that'll be it for now. I'll see you in a few days. Take care everyone. Bye now.